Regards in here, I'll be talking about a heroic power axe build using the brand new secondary bolt carbine on the Bulwark class in Space Marine 2 patch 13. Now, the Encarmine axe is actually a pretty strong weapon in the game currently. This is a block defense type with 12 strength, 4 speed, and 17 cleaving potential, and the big thing here is your heroic perk effect is called Sanguine Edge. Power backstep can still be performed with the next heavy attack even if you move out of power stance, and because of that, you can kind of like set up for the 17 cleaving potential here pretty easily. It's pretty fun to use, and the damage here, thanks to that double speed, is also quite nice on the Horde Clear for the Whirlwind. So for that reason, rebuilding around Horde Clear today, and mainly going to stuff like utility perks with the armor. Now, for the perk tree on this, I do start off with the perk Perpetual Strength first, moving here into the perk Coup de Grace. The last strike of a light combo deals 25% more damage. This is a pretty good perk on this weapon, especially because you do use your light combos fairly often on this weapon, because for example, when you are charging up your power backstep here or holding onto it, you're usually like light attacking in between that, and because of that, having these light attack perks does help a lot. And the top tree, like even the speed increase here, it's not super strong for you anyways. Next perk here is Perpetual Strength again, moving here to the perk Counterattack. The first light attack within 5 seconds after a perfect parry or perfect block deals 25% more damage. This is actually a way better perk on the Encarmine axe here than it is on a normal power axe, because usually on a normal power axe, if you get a perfect parry, you are going to power wave, but on this one you have the opportunity to not do that, so way better here. Then move here into the perk Riposte. Overhead strike damage after performing a power backstep is doubled, and then I pick up the perk Hard Target into the perk Tactical Retreat for 25% more damage on a power backstep. Power backstep is like the best attack on any power axe, including this one, so you definitely want this. Moving up here into the perk Power Wave. Power Backstep Wave damages more enemies. This perk is really strong now because the Power Wave in general actually hits the proper amount of targets in patch 13. There was a bug as of like patch 11 plus where Power Wave was apparently not hitting the proper amount of enemies, but now your Backstep Wave, it will hit a ton of guys, and this one makes it even bigger, so a really strong option. Now, the next perk selection I have here is a little bit different than what you would expect from like a normal block axe. So number one, I take Minoru Slayer into the perk here, Restoration. Killing 7 enemies reps a session restores an armor segment. The cooldown is 15 seconds. Now, since we have 17 cleaving potential on this weapon, you can pretty easily like set up a power backstep to trigger a restoration effect immediately, far easier than say like a normal block axe or even like a balanced one. And because of that, the utility of the Encarmine axe is actually pretty strong, and also the perk effect down here like Cleaver for a 10% buff. This is a really strong perk, but keep in mind your base damage on this weapon is less, so you're getting less value out of this perk in particular, and also things like Perpetual Strength. So for me on this build, I do pick up Restoration. That's pretty much all there is for the Encarmine axe. Now for the secondary, this is the brand new secondary bolt carbine, and I'll be honest, this one could definitely use a buff. It is not bad. I will say it's pretty mediocre. It's not like shit by any means, and the big like upside of this weapon is that you have a very high contested health recovery. I've taken this thing against Chaos and Tyranids, and it does pretty well against both of them, but occasionally you run out of ammo, and the damage here is a little bit lacking. Now, for the variant you should choose on this, I would pretty much say always take the magazine capacity ammo reserve option. This weapon is only on the Bulwark and the Assault, and because of that, you'll be barrel stuffing all the damn time, so having more magazine capacity is just way better if you lose a bit of accuracy. Now, for the perk tree, once again, there are only like 2 perk combos you should actually take on this weapon in my opinion. So at number 1, you can go up here for increased capacity and extended magazine, or alternatively you could go down here for Adamant Hunter and the perk Divine Might. That is up to you. This is pretty self-explanatory. Up here is more ammo, down here is more damage, and I'll say on the Bulwark class in particular, Adamant Hunter is pretty good because if you're below 30% HP on a Bulwark, you really don't give a fuck, so pretty easy to pull that damage boost off. Next perk here is Fast Reload, down here into the perk Cleaving Fire, and then we pick up the perk here Retaliation for 25% more damage on a perfect dodge for 10 seconds, and then we grab the perk Tactical Precision. Headshots deal 20% more damage, non-headshot damage decreases by 10%. This perk is actually a little bit worse, well not like worse, but I should say the downside here in patch 13 is more than it used to be, because body shots in general, they have been upped in their damage in patch 13 for like all bolter weapons, and Tactical Precision makes you lose more body shot damage, which kind of sucks sometimes, but more headshot damage is pretty much always better anyways. Next perk here is Gunstrike Reload, and the final perk is Elite Elite Hunter. After killing a Majoris or higher enemy with a melee weapon, headshots will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This will trigger on a melee execute, not just a melee kill, so keep that in mind. That is pretty much all there is for the Bolt Carbine secondary at the moment. And like I said before, you know, this weapon's not ridiculously strong. It's okay, and the CHP recovery here is pretty good. So like when it comes to a use case scenario on this thing, just use it to recover your HP because it is very strong for that against both Chaos and Tyranids. Now, for our perk tree, I do take the perk here, Intimidating Aura first. A perfect time parry deals AoE damage within a 5-meter radius. The cooldown is 5 seconds. Now, this perk does work on perfect block, even though they have not updated the description at all in like a year. It does function, so keep that in mind. A really strong option for like pretty much any weapon in the game. And to give you an idea of how strong Intimidating Aura actually is, it puts out like 190 damage, and a Sword Warrior on Absolute has 308 HP, so you are doing over half a warrior's HP with a single perfect block, and that is kind of insane, so definitely pick this up. Next perk here is Shock and Awe. Enemies of a shock area take 25% more damage. The main reason we take this is so we can combine this with the perk over here, Emergency Countermeasure, for a full shock nade on our like area of armor break basically every 45 seconds. The perk over here, Defensive Advantage, is just not worth taking. A 30-second cooldown for a 5-second shock area is pretty shit, and Emergency Countermeasure got buffed up a while back by having its cooldown, and now it's only 45 seconds, so a really good synergy here, and it's like really all you need because it's only 15 seconds longer than Defensive Advantage, and you are not giving up the next perk, which is Steel Within. When your health is less than 50%, you take 30% less health damage. This perk is incredible. I talk about this all the time. If you don't take Conviction up here, you really want this perk. The amount of benefit you get from damage reduction on Bulwark is very high, so you really want at least one source because your base HP has a 30% increase, and any damage reduction you get on top of that makes you even tankier, so a really good option. Definitely pick this up. Next perk here is Focus Restoration. Every 30 seconds, all team members automatically restore 1 armor segment. This perk is just incredible. Armor will damage cap against melee attacks, even some ranged attacks, so pretty much always pick this one up as well for like a super meta build. Advanced Conditioning is good for newer players because one of the hardest things for newer players to do is manage CHP, but overall I would say this one is better. Next perk here is Purity of Purpose. The banner deals damage over time to enemies with zero effect. This one will wipe out Minoris, deal tremendous damage to Majoris, Extremis, and even bosses. And Rapid Regeneration here, this will cut your banner duration from 20 seconds to 10, which is pretty awful, even though like a 300% faster restoration of armor is nice for ranged attacks, but this one is just way better. Next perk here is Glory Shield. All team members in the banner's area of effect take 20% less damage, and the banner lasts 20% longer. This is my favorite perk in this column here. Invigorating Icon and Concussive Force are both technically better, but when you use this perk, you usually turn your whole build into a Shield Bash build because the damage is kind of nuts, and this is just kind of like making you use fewer banners, and because of that, I just prefer Glory Shield to have like a proper banner usage because half the fun of Bulwark for me is putting down the chapter banner, and this allows me to do that more often and get more benefit out of that banner as well. Next perk here is Merciless Resolve. After a Shield Bash, Shield Rush, or Thunder Hammer Pommel Smash, melee damage increases by 15%, you don't lose control of heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back for 10 seconds. This is the main form of no knockback on this build. If you do not take this perk, I would definitely take Armor Advance down here and probably swap out Shock and Awe for like scramble targeting, but as far as no knockback goes, this is really all you need on most Bulwark builds. You can trigger this perk by just Shield Bashing the air or Shield Rushing the air. You don't actually have to hit anybody. Just keep in mind to reapply the effect here, you do have to wait for those initial 10 seconds to be up. So once the duration is over, then you can Shield Bash again and reapply another 10 seconds. Final perk here is Emergency Countermeasure for the Shock Nade on our Armor Depletion, and that's pretty much all there is for the main perk tree. Now, for our Prestige perk slots, you could take Auxiliary Reload because this perk is pretty good with the secondary Bolt Carbine, especially on this variant we have here because we have a pretty fat magazine capacity with things like Extended Magazine, but that being said, I much prefer just taking the perk over here, Resilience, into Overcharge. Held and Charge attack damage increases by 20%, and the final perks are Powerful Shot for 20% more range damage, and Masterful Defense defense because this makes your cooldown reduction kind of ridiculous on any Bulwark build that has a shield. And that's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The Encarmine Axe is pretty damn cool in this game, and finally I get to like rep a proper Blood Angel Bulwark. I mean, I know you've been able to do that for a while, but now we have the War Gear slots for the Iron Halos, and you know, the Blood Angels are usually pretty dripped out, so pretty cool to see this stuff, and hope I can get to like actually grinding out the rest of these at some point. But hopefully this build guide helped you, and as always, thanks for watching. If you like content like this, subscribe for more. If you want to watch me live to ask me questions about the game or just come hang out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description, alongside a link to my community Discord. And as always, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and I'll be talking about what's that, a power sword build on the Bulwark class for Space Marine 2 patch 13. Well, I have to say, guys, I have been utterly addicted to the power sword this patch. The power sword is, in my opinion, the most entertaining weapon in Space Marine 2, at least aside from the power axe, and today I'll be building around the block variant, mainly because the block version is just the best on the Bulwark class, in my opinion, since things like Intimidating Aura have a very easy time triggering off that 0-frame startup. Now, for the perk tree here, it is a little bit different. I am taking this one to Purgation, so I did go down here for Perpetual Strength first, into the perk here, Master of Defense. After you switch your sword combat style, you will take 20% less range damage for 5 seconds. The cooldown is 10 seconds. I mean, you can pick up either one you want. You can take like Master of Offense if you really want to take this one instead, but a 20% range damage reduction here is actually pretty nice, especially on the gap close. Next perk here, Perpetual Strength, up here into the perk Perpetual Strength again. And then I pick the perk over here, Tranquility, into the perk here, Melee Onslaught for 10% melee damage buff. And then we go through the standard thing here with Hard Target, Cutting Edge, into the perks here, Extremis Slayer, Majora Slayer, and of course Terminus Slayer. And the final perk is your choice of Power Restoration or Speed Restoration. Now, on the Power Sword, every single heavy attack, or excuse me, every single light attack on your power style attacks will set up a Minoros and a Gun Strike, except for like a Shield Zangor. So for that reason, the Power Restoration here is actually pretty good for that double CHP recovery. Now, for the secondary, I do take the Rate of Fire Plasma Pistol. Now, the Rate of Fire is still very good this patch. I know I've been using the Firepower version recently, but as far as like your charge shots and CHP recovery go, I think this one is by far the best, and for that reason, we're setting it up as usual, starting off with the perk here, Plasma Collection first, moving here to the perk Rapid Cooling, Plasma Collection again, Divine Might, Blast Radius, Perpetual Velocity, into the perk here, Plasma Collection again, and the final perks are Efficient Charge and of course Perfect Cooling, and that's all there is for the secondary. Now, for the main perk tree, we do start off with the God tier perk, Intimidating Aura first. A perfect time parry deals AoE damage in a 5-meter radius. The cooldown is 5 seconds. Now, this perk puts out a stupid amount of damage on a block defense type. Since you do have that 0-frame startup, triggering this one over and over is incredibly easy, and like really fills out the gaps in a block build for Bulwark. Next perk here is Scramble Targeting. If you're surrounded by 5 or more enemies, you will take 25% less damage from range attacks. Now, when we combine this one with the Master of Defense trigger for a 45% range damage reduction collectively, that is pretty damn top, and Scramble Targeting is super underrated. Next perk here is Seal Within. When your health is in 50%, you will take 30% less health damage. I think damage reduction on the Bulwark is pretty much mandatory for like a top tier build. I mean, having at least one of the Conviction or Seal Within perks is very potent on this class, because you do have a 30% base HP increase, which does mean any damage reduction you do have will be that much more valuable, and for that reason, I think Seal Within is the best here. If you do want to take Armor Reinforcement instead, you could do that. Next perk here is Focus Restoration. Every 30 seconds, all team members automatically restore 1 armor segment, and alternatively, you could pick up the perk here, Advanced Conditioning. These are both pretty strong. I mean, I see a lot of people talk about both these perks. Some players think Advanced Conditioning is better. This one's definitely easier to use for like brand new players, but this perk will damage cap for your entire team, which makes it like de facto better. Next perk here is Purity of Purpose. The banner deals damage over time to enemies with this area of effect. And the next perk here is Concussive Force. Shield Bash deals 200% more damage, Shield Rush deals 100% more damage, and those are the only effects that actually matter on this build. But for Concussive Force, I mean, this is just the best damage perk in the gear tree when you compare it to even stuff like Glory's Shield and Invigorating Icon. If you're going for pure damage, this is just the way to go. Your Shield Bash is useful in like every single build in the Bulwark class ever, and a 200% buff to that is very powerful. Though I will say, if you want to pick up Glory's Shield or the healing perk here, you can definitely do that instead. Next perk here is Merciless Resolve. For a no knockback effect and a 15% damage buff on our shield bash, because no knockback will just save your life. And the final perk is Defensive Mastery. A perfect time parry or block instantly incapacitates Majora's or Extremis level enemy. The cooldown is 90 seconds. Now, one-shotting an Extremis on a 90-second cooldown may not sound that good initially, but when you realize that Raveners can ruin an entire boss fight, being able to one-shot them is incredibly powerful, so definitely pick this up. Now, for the Prestige perk options, you could pick up Auxiliary Reload first if you really wanted to. I mean, this one is definitely strong on Plasma. I'm just taking Resilience here instead because we aren't taking Invigorating Icon, and the perk you would pretty much always take here is, of course, Overcharge. Held and charge attack damage increases by 20%. This perk will buff up your Power Rake multiplicatively, which is pretty damn insane. It's one of the best melee perks in the entire game, wherever you can find it. It's no different here. Final perks here are Powerful Shot and Masterful Defense. That's pretty much all there is for this build, guys. I mean, the Power Sword Bulwark, I think, is actually a pretty top-tier option for this class. You know, sometimes it is hard to tell because Intimidating Aura is just that powerful that even with, like, a normal-ass block knife, he would still be, like, a top-tier class. But hopefully, this build guide helps you. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. If you want to watch me live to ask me questions about the game or just come hang out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description. I'll send a link to my community Discord. I also want to say a special thank you to my channel members. Your guys' support has been incredible, and I really appreciate that, guys. And as always, thank you for watching. Take it easy. Bye. Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and I'll be talking about a Xenophase Blade Bulwark build for Space Marine 2 patch 13. Now, the Xenophase Blade got buffed again this patch because all the Power Swords have a speed increase this time around. It was ever so slight, but it's actually a pretty noticeable effect on the slower options like the Xenophase and the block weapon, and because of that, I'll be building around it today. Now, for the perk tree here, it is pretty much the same as usual. First, we start off with the perk here, Armored Strength, moving here into the perk Master of Offense. After switching sword combat style, you deal 20% more melee damage for 5 seconds. The cooldown is 10 seconds. A 20% buff like this is pretty nice because you can swap your sword combat style out of a dash or, like, you know, a perfect dodge and stuff like that. So really easy to pull this off into a Power Rake. Next perk here, Perpetual Strength and Perpetual Strength again. Moving here to the perk Tranquility, Melee Onslaught for a 10% melee damage buff. And then I pick up the perk Hard Target into the perk Cutting Edge. Power Rake deals 50% more melee damage. You pretty much always pick this up on every single Power Sword because Power Rake is just the best attack on this weapon overall. And also, the Xenophase Blade has a heroic perk effect over here, Ancient Technology, that says your Power Rake waves are wider and deal 20% more damage, so you definitely want to hear. Next perk here is Extremis Slayer up here into the perk Majora's Slayer, and the final perk is Terminus Slayer into the perk Power Restoration. Power style attacks restore double contested health. Now, every single attack you do on a Power style with a Power Sword will set up Minoris into a Gunstrike opportunity, and having double CHP recovery here is super nice to, like, avoid chip damage in between your gun strikes, so a really good option here. And also speed restoration, usually if you're using speed style, it is because you are fighting a Majoris, and Majoris are usually getting power raked, and also you're getting, like, your HP back off of executes from them instead of just, like, using your actual weapon attack, so usually not super strong option. And now, one more hidden effect I want to talk about in the Xenophase Blade is that the heroic perk effect here, Ancient Technology, the Power Rake wave angle is actually vertical, not just horizontal, so you're pretty strong at, like, cutting down Zoanthropes, Neurothropes, and Light and Zangors, and because of that, that does open up the opportunity to use, like, less optimal range secondaries for those enemies, like the Neo Volkite pistol. So the Neo Volkite also got a buff this patch, and now has a faster heating speed on top of having a better contested health recovery, though I will say the better contested health recovery here is not very strong or noticeable, but the heating speed is definitely increased and does feel way better. Now, I'm taking the firepower version here because usually you don't run out of ammo too much, and even outside of, like, Majora's damage and just heating speed, this weapon is very strong for, like, wiping out spore mines, wiping out cultists and stuff like that, because they always die to one shot, and every single, like, little laser beam here will just obliterate them, so really good option. Now, for the perk tree, I do take the perk Extended Magazine first, moving here into the perk Combustive Momentum. After a gun strike, heating speed increases by 30% for 6 seconds. This is a pretty long uptime and definitely noticeable, and honestly, the top tree here is not too strong. You know, you get like a little bit more damage, but the damage here is not really the issue. It's more so that heating speed, because when you're using a Neo Volkite on a Majoris or a boss, you want to get that explosion as fast as possible, so you definitely want this perk. Next perk here is increased capacity, moving here into the perk Volkite discharge area for a wider discharge area, which is pretty, you know, self-explanatory. It's also up here, so you kind of take this no matter what. Next perk here is accelerated combustion for even more heating speed. And then we go up top instead of going down the bottom here, because doing this one is okay, but the damage buff up here is much better in my opinion. So we go up through heat retention, heat enemies cool down 25% slower, into the perk here, Volkite discharge. After killing a Majoris or higher enemy with a melee weapon, damage of Volkite discharge increases by 30% for 10 seconds. This is a really nice damage buff here, and also helps you hit some breakpoints, and the final perk here is just really strong, which is Volkite Blitz. Volkite discharge damage increases by 25%, and the discharge area increases by 25%. So this is just a flat buff to your gun. Is way better than the perk down here called Distributed Deflagration. Sorry, I'm not saying that correctly, but the point is, along with the Volkite explosion, 25% of the heat is also transferred to surrounding enemies. That is just not remotely as good as this, especially these days where your heating speed is actually quite fast. Now, for the perk tree here, we do take something a little different. So first up, we are going full tank. I take the perk Conviction. When your armor is fully depleted, you will take 25% less health damage for 10 seconds. Now, on balanced weapons, I don't like Intimidating Aura as much. It is still a very strong perk effect on them, and don't get me wrong, you can definitely take this. It will not like serve you poorly. It's just that the negative frame startup of a balanced parry window, it means you're actually getting less opportunities to trigger Intimidating Aura, because 0 frame startups on fencing and block just feel way better with this, and for that reason I do kind of prefer just having that extra HP damage reduction, because this makes your whole game go like way more smoothly. Next perk here is Shock and Awe. Enemies in the shock area take 25% more damage. We pick up this just so we can take the perk down here later for our, like, you know, a shock area detonating at our armor break area, so pretty good synergy there. And also the other shock perk here, Defensive Advantage. A per time parry or block creates a shock area for 5 seconds with a cooldown of 30 seconds. A 30-second cooldown in this game is just kind of ridiculous, and you're just way better off taking the perk Steel Within, because only 5 seconds for a shock area is just way worse than like a full shock nade on a 45-second cooldown, and usually this one is more than enough, though if you want to take this, you definitely could. Now, Steel Within on top of Conviction for like a 55% health damage reduction, on top of a 30% base HP increase on the Bulwark class, this makes you just stupidly tanky. Like, you will really struggle to die below 25% HP. Because in Space Marine 2, when your HP drops below 25% on every class in the game, you will get a ramping damage reduction that makes you progressively tankier until you actually die. So if you have a higher base HP on top of double damage reduction perks, you are practically impossible to kill, or at the very least, you can survive long enough to get a stim and trigger things like resilience here. So a really easy to use, one of the best options in the game to keep you alive, and probably the easiest way to run this class outside of things like Invigorating Icon. Next perk here is Focus Restoration. Every 30 seconds, all team members automatically restore 1 armor segment. This is just more damage reduction for not just you, but your entire team. I will say, if you are a brand new player, Advanced Conditioning can be easier to use, because one of the hardest things for new players to actually deal with in this game is managing their contested health, and this makes that significantly easier. Next perk here is Purity of Purpose. The banner deals damage over time to enemies with a derivative effect. This perk will just put down a shock nade around your banner. It will wipe out Minoras, do significant damage to Majoris, Extremis, and even bosses. Though I will say this is the best value perk. The perk down here, Rapid Regeneration, the armor restoration effect here is quite strong as range attacks. Unfortunately, a 10-second reduction in your banner actually cuts your banner uptime in half, which is pretty awful, so this is definitely the better value option. Next perk I take here is Concussive Force. Shield Bash deals 200% more damage, Shield Rush deals 100% more damage, Thunderhammer Pommel Smash deals 100% more damage, and deals AoE damage in a 7-meter radius. Cooldown is 5 seconds. Now, being able to Shield Bash for more damage here is just like super strong on any build for Bulwark. I do have a full animation cancel guide and had to like spam this over and over, but like even on the Xenophase blade, there are points in time where you can't get off a power rake, and being able to Shield Bash your phase for 200% more damage will just get you the execute, so pretty good there. Though I will say, every single perk in this column is pretty strong, so you could take Glory Shield, you could take the healing perk down here, that is up to you. Next perk here is Merciless Resolve. After a Shield Bash, Shield Rush, or or Thunderhammer Pommel Smash, melee damage increases by 15%, and you don't lose control of heavy hits. You cannot be knocked back for 10 seconds. This is just a free no knockback perk. This will trigger on any use of Shield Bash or Shield Rush. You do not actually have to hit any enemies with the Shield Bash at all. It will trigger on its own just for like whacking the air. Just keep in mind that you have to wait for the 10-second duration to go up to actually reapply the effect. So like you can see that under your HP bar a little bit. When the icon finally like closes off, you can then reapply the effect for yourself again with another Shield Bash. Just keep that in mind. Final perk here is Emergency Countermeasure. When your armor is fully depleted, a reserve shock grenade automatically detonates in your position. The cooldown is 45 seconds. Now, back in patch 11, they cut the cooldown of this perk in half. It used to be 90 seconds long, now it is only 45. So taking this with the perk over here, Shock and Awe, that's a pretty long uptime. Because like you gotta keep in mind that this perk is only a 15-second longer cooldown. The perk over here, Defensive Advantage, and you're not really giving up a ton at all. Like, you know, if you want the perk down here, Arm Advance or Defensive Mastery, you could do that. But Emergency Countermeasure, I think, just fits into this build for the Iron Hands aesthetic way more. And that's pretty much all there is for the main perk tree. Now, for our Prestige perk selection, I do take Resilience first. Medicae Stims restore 40% more HP. Whenever I don't take the healing perk over here, Invigorating Icon, I pretty much always pick up Resilience, because having more valuable stims, you can kind of just like sit at a low HP value and get back over half your HP off a single stim restoration. A really good option for like any tank build in the Bulwark. And the next perk here is, of course, Overcharge. Held in charge attack damage increases by 20%. This is a multiplicative melee damage buff to your Power Rake, and Power Rake is like the strongest attack on the Xenophase anyways, so you definitely want this perk effect. Final perks here are Powerful Shot for 20% more range damage, and Masterful Defense for ability charge being restored by 1% for every blocked range attack. This perk is nuts. You know, all you have to do is hold your banner up against pretty much any minigun Terminator in the game, and you'll just get like your entire banner back. You'll damn near get your entire banner back, even with the 50% increased cooldown and Invigorating Icon, so one of the top tier perk effects if you have a blocking shield, or like, you know, really any shield build, which means if you don't have a Thunderhammer, you just take that perk. And that's pretty much all there is for the build guide here, guys. And this is my Iron Hand Xenophase Blade Tech Marine build, not Tech Marine, excuse me, Bulwark build. And hopefully this build guide helped you. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thank you for watching. And if you want to watch me live to ask me questions about the game, or just come hang out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description, also a link to my community Discord. And as always, thank you for watching. Take it easy. Bye. Alright, I hate that it pulls your auto aim to something you can't actually kill. That's pretty dumb. Like, why is my melee targeting going after something I can't actually do damage to? Or you can. I don't think so, though. Fuck. What the fuck? Where'd he go? Some Z's trickery. Alright, we're just gonna move on. That was super cool of them to do that to me. Alright. The guaranteed sim for us, pretty much, yep. There we go. We're very tanky on this class at this HP, with Conviction and Steel Within, so we don't really care too much at the moment. Like that, though. Why you have Tech Marine's voice on Bulwark? He's in Iron Hand's Bulwark? Of course he is. There's the Xenophase. Well, Iron Hand's Death Watch.
Hold this ground, brothers. Let the swarm crash upon us.
Hey, FCG, what's up, brother Ludicrous? What is up? Goddamn tank here, we are. I don't care.
Forward, brothers. The heretics shall find no sanctuary here.
now. What a dramatic accent that was.
The heretics will find nothing to salvage from this.
Oh, I actually made it.
The 1,000 suns did not pass unopposed. Yet no fallen defenders. Viridian, I have received your Auspex readings. Your new orders are to advance to the Archmago's data vault and purge any remaining data, sealed or otherwise. The traitors cannot recover even a fragment. Deny the 1,000 suns everything.
How's the Volkite? It's okay. I mean, you definitely notice the heating speed increase. I really noticed like a CHP increase. They said they buffed the CHP recovery. I haven't noticed that too much. It's like ever so slightly better. I think the detonation is like where most of it comes from though. That's always been the case, but... A peak.
You will die in ignorance. You are benighted birds raging against the stars. Insignificant. And soon forgotten. We will deny their ambitions. Nothing escapes.
Oh. That's cool.
That accursed Terminator is a mockery to the modern sun.
That's a tier 1 Reaper. Okay, that's oh, this guy. Ow. Ammunition status. Reloading.
The data vault remains sealed. Power supply to the conduits insufficient.
Right, generator. Okay, so generators are on the bottom portion of this map. Okay, that's one broken one.
I have found it. The data vault is malfunctioned. We shall see to it and complete our task.
Do you know if Assault needs the Iron Halos? No, he can't. He cannot.
It runs
His
once
capes.
more.
You know, I wonder if the heroic Volkite pistol is gonna have like a burn effect or something in the future.
I have found it. The generator requires our attention. It runs once more.
Right down the line.
Viridian, we are registering a significant warp energy spike inside Nozick's laboratory. Reach the lab and eliminate the heretics. Do not allow their ritual to reach completion. By your order, Lord Akaran, we move to intercept brothers.
I thought they wouldn't be afraid to add more burn at the damage to scale down dots. It's only scaled down on bosses. Only Terminus. That's only said in the patch notes. I haven't noticed any difference beyond that.
The archer living field flies as readily as blades. Deception is the refuge of a foe defeated. Fresh combatants keep up enemy reinforcement process blocked. Terminator, disgraceful use of tactical dreadnought power. Occult Terminator cleansed. Rearming war gear.
Does the Xenophase blade feel a bit faster? They're all a bit faster now, so yeah, this one definitely does feel better. Definitely does feel better.
Removal complete. Brothers, the warp's touch is heavier in this place. Airing missiles. Block the enemy from summoning reinforcements. Corruptive presence to cut the enemy supply. Thousand Sons champion number. Inserting fresh magazines. Servant of the dawn.
Right.
Our path lies across the floating terrain, brothers. Tread with care. Our foes attempt to call up fresh forces. Hellspawn, I require rights of scouring to purge this man monstrous Xenos eradicated. Cycling cartridges. Diagnostics complete. Result: toxins.
Oh, ammo box. I can grab this for it to go.
Munitions replenished.
Oh, he did it. Okay. That was actually a longer time period down than I thought.
The island holds firm.
Drops still going? Drops were going all the way until June 11th.
Xenos alpha beasts eradicated.
Yeah, it just feels so long since the past dropped. It kind of does. Burn, explode, explode. God, Xenophase is very good for horde clear. Okay. Now, one of the benefits of the Xenophase blade here is that you can hit enemies out of the sky pretty easily, so the Neo Volkite's kind of awkward to hit Zangors with. But your Xenophase blade will shit on them. Definitely tell the heating speed is increased. The Iron Hand's Rip is pretty cool, I know. Though I will say the robo legs do kind of look like you're wearing like sandals. Gosh. Oh, well, I should be dead, but okay. It's got crunch between two rocks.
We stand at the threshold. Ready yourselves.
Run with your servants, ever dutiful, ever faithful. Can you hear them? Your precious guardsmen, shrieking as their souls are rent for killing. I will enjoy watching you wither into understanding. You are always too late.
Look upon this heresy, brothers, and let it fuel
My heart jumped a beat when you almost fell. How do you think I felt?
free the guardsmen.
I became a rock sandwich. How was the filling of a PV and whatever the hell that is? Zinch rock? How kind of the heretics to like to just leave their mobile platforms and functional lifts so we can go and kill them.
What did we swear?
Now yesterday I got knocked down here. I got whacked by a chaos spawn and knocked into this little corner here, and I couldn't escape, so I had to quit. Very tragic event. Now I know if I have auxiliary reload on for the build here, but usually for Neo Volkite I would just take Master Defense on this one. Alright, stop auto-targeting with those, please, thank you.
Concentrate your fire. Hostile backup storm. Well done. Rearming walking.
I'm sure the Cadians can save me.
Cadians, you are liberated. Do your duty. We interrupted the Hill Swarm's critical functions. I require rites of scouring to purge this malevolent presence. Servant of the dark god sighted. Formidable heretic warriors suppressed. It can weave no spells when it is dead.
Let's go save some Cadians.
God's my freed. Another ward falls. The Emperor's soldiers are liberated. To the altar, we end this corruption here. Do not lose focus. The altar awaits.
Your last name is Forbidden Truths. So through calls Emperor's lies. Cut your own flesh. You lay waste. Countless
Focus. The altar awaits.
your conscience.
You know, it's amazing how a map that has like 50 billion things all try to just randomly blob around you and explode at once isn't incredibly obnoxious. This is actually less obnoxious than Vox Apparatus, despite there being like 50 blue balls.
Yours is a rotting empire.
The finale of Vox can suck my ass.
Let us see which tale first.
Because the part that kills you is always like being stuck popping the altars, and this one only makes you do one, so the... Actually pretty easy here.
The corruption falters. We must not. The warp energy receives. Stand firm. They've left walkers without me. We need only old brothers. We are steadfast and immovable. We shall deny the arch enemy. The moment is upon us, brothers. Eliminate the eye.
I guess I'll open it. Now, since you can't actually die in that animation, use auto win when you hold down the interact.
Viridian,
Here we go.
Auspex confirms the rift is...